Hi, everybody. So, I'm going to be channeling a historical person today, and I'm going to be delving into Albert Einstein. And so, I'm going to relax here and get connected, and then we'll just see what comes. Okay. So, I'm just relaxing my energy field. So I'm opening my heart, and the intention is to it's not just to connect with Albert Einstein's spirit, but to gain insight and wisdom, something that we as a collective experiencer of the moment right now, so I'm an experiencer and you're experiencing it with me, a message that is really Albert Einstein vibrational frequency type message, and one that we can all grow in wisdom and love together. So that's my intention. There's questions. Do you want to get to know him as a man? Do you want to know his spiritual vibration? We don't need to know anything about him on the human level. Like, there's all these different ways that we could gain perspective on a single soul essence in a single lifetime. So there's so many different ways that we could gain a perspective. And he himself, as we're talking, I guess he's the one that is sharing this message, showing me a sphere, and in the inside of the sphere there's a nucleus, and there's sort of like electricity going in every direction. So naturally I put my hands on it, and then the electricity follows my hands, or maybe it's like makes my hair get static electricity, and I feel really delighted by touching this orb with the electricity on the inside. The electricity is pink in color. It's really beautiful. I love thinking about lightning bolts that are pink. It just makes me so happy. I tell him that. I tell him, let's just go inside. Like, I don't want to be on the outside looking in. I want to go into the inside, in the nucleus of the experience. I want to go into the experience, and I want to be the lightning bolts themselves. Like, I want to know what it is like to be a pink lightning bolt, and to be ignited in every direction, and just to feel that. Like, it's so exciting. Like, his energy is really, like, fun, and exciting, but I don't want to just study it. I want to participate in it. I want to be a part of it, and when I become a part of it, I want to know what it feels like. I don't want to just know what creates it. I want to know what it feels like. I want to be an experiencer of it too. So he's like super excited with me, and we're both traveling into the nucleus of this big sphere and the pink lightning bolts on the inside. It's interesting because where I'm standing is literally like not that far away, but as a particle, we're going into the center, and it's like taking forever. Like, it's a 10 trillion light years away. When I'm Abbey, I'm just like, oh, just touch it. I'm here. I'm like, all I can do is touch it. There it is. Like, it's right in front of me. But we're becoming like a particle, and it's like taking 10 trillion light years to get to the center of the nucleus. So it's really like cool perspective. All right, in this version of a perspective, this dimensional reality, all I have to do is touch my hand, and now I'm touching the nucleus. But in the process of us going into the nucleus, we actually transformed into a tiniest little particle, and it's taking like 10 trillion light years to get to the nucleus of this, the experience of pink lightning bolts in this experiment or whatever it is. He doesn't want to call it an experiment. He wants to call it a creation. So what he is manifesting is like a mother birthing a child. He is birthing a creation of his own design, that he's using equations and using all this science of like extreme smarts to manifest a solution or an actual active physical object that is a reflection of whatever the idea is. So he's birthing it into form, and he is the creator of it. So it's not an experiment, it is a creation. Is a really cool way. That's what he likes to call it. And he loves the fantastic way that there's so many different ways to perceive the whole. So if you only want to look at something in one direction, you're only going to ever know one thing about it. But he says when you start to look at the intricate ways that you can process one phenomenon, where you could just extend your hand and bam, there it is. But if you're a particle, it takes 10 trillion light years. He says there's value to the perspective. There's so much value to perceiving things in this way, to perceiving the expansion or the size. So he's talking about the universe. How, in a way, could we become a particle that is a reflection of the experience of simply reaching your hand out and being that close to touching something, whereas we perceive ourselves like the particles that'll take 10 trillion light years to get to the edge of the universe, so to speak, okay? But he's saying that if the human world could alter the way that we are thinking and start to see us as able to just reach out and bam, we're there, now we can truly conquer the science of creation, the physics of the universe. And all it takes is discovering perspective. So when you choose to see things from a different angle, now you expand and what you are capable of conquering and manifesting, birthing into creation, birthing into this world to allow us to be extraordinary explorers of anything and everything, literally. It's really exciting. He loves it. He's just like, he is a dancer in these thought patterns. He's like a total dancer, and he loves, he just absolutely gushes with joy when he thinks about, he shows me in a Rubik's Cube and how you could concentrate on trying to get all the sides in one color. But there's something about the way that the movement of the cubes, the goal is to get the colors all on one side, you know? But the way, I don't know what he is saying about unlocking the secrets. It's like a puzzle, and it's a mystery to solve. And sometimes it takes a long time, and sometimes you figure it out overnight. But he likes the journey. He likes the journey of solving the puzzles. But there's something about building blocks too. But there's something about the cube. I don't know why. The cube, we're looking at the cube, and then there's tiny cubes that make up the cube that is the Rubik's Cube, and then you can move the sides around. There's something about this as well, because there's so many different perspectives to the meaning of a Rubik's Cube. It's more than just a cube. There's lots of tiny cubes that make up this one cube. There's value to this. Then you actually have the ability to move sides in any direction you want to take. There's meaning to this. But then there's an additional goal of moving the cubes in order to create the game then, which is solve the puzzle, which is to get all the colors on equally on all sides. He says there's meaning to this. We just keep going through the layers and layers and layers and layers of meaning. And you just take something so simple as a cube, and now you create extraordinary depth and meaning to it. But he loves that aspect of life. He says, shall I slow down? Am I talking too fast? Because everything is all of a sudden slowing down. I must have given him some sort of message. I didn't even know I said it, but everything is slowing down considerably. And we are relaxing, and I feel like we're talking about time. Because he's talking about how this world wants to know everything like this. Just give it all to me. Just tell me everything already. But he says that if you slow down this conversation, there's something about it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter he says that he doesn't like the words it doesn't matter because everything matters. But there's something of the value of the reality of time. When we want everything all of a sudden, you can take that quick snap of the fingers and now expand that out into 1 trillion years. And he says the same thing, you will conquer the exact same thing. So what you want right now, you already have it. And you can actually expand it out and discover it over the course of 1 trillion years. Or you could make it smaller and make it happen overnight. So he's talking about how to speed up the perception of time or slow it way down. And how you could conquer an extraordinary awareness all of a sudden, in the perception of all of a sudden, or you could expand it out to 1 trillion years, but it would be the same thing. It's still the exact same thing. This and 1 trillion years is still the exact same thing. And so we know this, but why? What is the difference between the human and then time? Because the human wants things, but the human has to live in the realm of time at the same time. So the human wants something like this, but what time chooses to perceive, or how we're related to time, is just, I don't even know how to describe this with language. Give me a minute here, because this is too cool, and I want to make sure I say this right. So. Okay, so he's talking about the human being, and then he's talking about time. Time that is this fast and time that is 1 trillion years is the exact same thing. So how does the human fit into time that is this fast and time that is 1 trillion years? Because the human being just experienced a snap of the fingers, and the human being will experience the snap of the fingers 1 trillion times in a single lifetime. So what is time now to this human being? That's the riddle. He asks if he needs to say this again. So there's the human being, and here's time. Okay, time is this fast, or time is 1 trillion years. And it's both the exact same thing. So then you have a human being that's trying to live in the perception of time. And the human being wants some things to happen like that. But yet it could take an entire lifetime. But an entire lifetime, the human being can hear a snap of the fingers 1 trillion times. So what is time? He loves this puzzle. He loves how it's like it freaks out the human mind to try to make sense of it, to try to understand it. He loves that. He loves when the mind does this. Like, I get it and I don't get it at the same time, but I know there's value to this, but I don't know what to do with it. He loves that. He loves that. He loves solving puzzles, solving riddles. And the work that he does, he creates the riddle, or he finds the riddle in the observation of the human, and how the human perceives this physics of the universe, or the human perceives the mathematics of the universe, etc. So he takes the human perception and how it perceives, and then he uses what he already knows in order to manifest the riddle, and then through the riddle he tries to solve the impossible. That's what he loves. And he loves the human because the human is so kind of experience the baffling moment. The human can become baffled and just like and that's the moment that he knows there's a puzzle to solve, when there is a baffling frequency about it. He's awesome. He's really fun. I'm having a side conversation with him right now. We're kind of talking about life and death, and just the human life. And then the human life has an experience, and now the experience is complete. But in a way, like, don't you ever want it to continue, you know? Because you'll never ever be Albert Einstein ever again. You're never going to be that ever again. You'll be versions of it, but you can only be yourself. You know, you can only be yourself one time, so to speak. Even if you could live in different timelines of being yourself, like, you'll only be aware of it from beginning to end, and that's all you'll ever know as a human being. And so in a way, there's kind of an odd sorrow about that. But I would like to, I'm just talking about this. So I don't know why. Just curious to see what his thought is on this. His first question is, do you want Albert Einstein to live forever? As a human. he's actually asking the collective, so all of us. He wants to know, do we all want Albert Einstein forever as a human being? And he is talking about, but what about Joe Schmo off the street? Why don't we want Joe Schmo off the street forever? But yet we want Albert Einstein forever, as the human Albert Einstein forever. He says there's an Albert Einstein in each and every one of us. And for us to see that, now we can appreciate each other. And there's something really beautiful. He actually emotionally touched that I can feel it. That I had said that it would be really beautiful to have Albert Einstein forever, because of his dynamic personality, and his perspective on things, and how it touched people's lives. And it was awing to people. Like, he's kind of one of those names that you remember, and he's just an awing and an inspiring person. And he was kind of a philosopher in his own right, and he was a wise man, not just a smart man, because you can know a lot of things logically, but to be wise is something very special. And so I felt that way about him. But when he says, this is another puzzle, this one may not make you feel baffled, but it makes you feel meaning and value. And to see, so he is saying, to see us all, we all have Albert Einstein within us, but to appreciate each other. But he's talking about time is forever, so he'll always be Albert Einstein forever, just in different ways, the human, now the frequency kind of thing. And he always was a frequency. He never was really human. He always was a frequency. That we don't relate to that. We don't see our creation as a frequency, a pattern of frequencies. We see our creation as a tangible physical reality with people. But you could also perceive it much like this pink lightning bolts that are just going all over the place. In another version of a dimension, these pink lightning bolts is another planet Earth with people living on the planet and trying to understand the infinite universe. But in our dimension, we just see it all as pink lightning bolts moving in every direction. In our dimension, we could stretch our hand out and touch it. That another version of reality, we're a particle, and it takes 10 trillion years to even get to the nucleus of this. So he's putting it all together here for us to help us really see the truth of creation itself, and how he was using these thought-provoking phenomenons and putting it into his own science or into the work he was doing in order to change the world with it. And he says everybody can do exactly what I'm doing. Anybody can experience a thought-provoking moment and then try to solve the puzzle of it. You have to decide if that is what fulfills your meaning and purpose or not. But in the end, we're all particles making up the lightning bolts, So the lightning bolts are free. They have the free will to go wherever they please. And sometimes they're attracted to one thing and another thing. And sometimes they aren't attracted to each other. And sometimes they want to blow each other up. So we're all particles interacting with each other in a world where we're transforming in our own right through energy itself. He's talking about how complex this is going to get, because we could talk about world wars. And if we saw human beings as particles that have a magnetic influence to be a certain vibration, one is more heroic and one is more fearful. One is more scientific and one is more creative. But in the end, these are just words, because they're actual frequencies that create the magnetic gravitation for activity. So we look at an active particle space of particles. And these space of particles is a planet Earth with human beings and war. because the particles are trying to get to a place of magnetic harmony. So how long is it going to take for the particles of the human race to achieve magnetic harmony? So we could perceive it in this way. And he himself was perplexed to explore himself as a particle, and the magnetism of his own particulate self, and what it was influenced or gravitating towards, in the totality of harmonizing the particles of the totality, the collective particles. He thought about this. It's so wild and cool. He asks if you ever thought of yourself as a particle. And now to see yourself as a human, and then to see yourself as a particle, a seemingly mindless particle that is just instinctively gravitating in a direction, to an abusive relationship, to an abusive relationship, to an abusive relationship. The particle has not transformed its harmony, thus its magnetic direction is always gravitating in the same repetitive, echoing manner. And so he's talking about the human then would perceive it, but this is love, and this love hurts me, and now I'm scattered and blown apart with all this motion and all these memories of trauma. But on another level, you're just a particle that is gravitating towards the same experience over and over again, because you've not harmonized that magnetism. So are you a human being, or are you a particle? What is the perspective? He's saying that the collective is learning how to harmonize within itself, and thus within its totality. So we are all a part of the nucleus of the whole. So in a way, the sphere is also in the lightning bolts, in the nucleus, it's all us. And then we're all learning how to harmonize with the frequency of love, which is balanced magnetism. But is it? Because whatever we are gravitating toward is our harmony. We're gravitating toward our harmony already. But we're finding that what we gravitate toward as a harmony is destroying ourselves over and over again, and destroying the collective as well. A part of us, our magnetism, it hates itself. A part of the collective, it hates itself. And the total particle hates itself to the point it wants to destroy itself. And in the human, if we take the particle and just see the particle is trying to destroy itself, so now the collective is actually a particle that was trying to destroy itself, but it can't die. So forevermore, it is going to be like this until it realizes that there's another way. And it chooses to harmonize with a new frequency, which it has not chosen as of yet. But do you believe that it is choosing this? You're part of the particle. We could see the particle as 8 billion particles, or 8 billion people, or we could see the 8 billion particles as one particle, and just watch as it reacts to itself, as it fears itself, as it begs to be loved, as it judges itself, as it puts itself down and tortures itself, it tortures others, which is torturing itself. So it's on and on and on and on and on. And this one particle is just right here, so we can see it. But it's trillions of light years of time as it's doing this. And it's time past, present, and future simultaneously. Again, another baffling puzzle on the physics of creation, or is it physics? This is the frequencies. This is the energy. This is us. These are the many dimensions of perspective that we can explore in order to understand who we are as a singularity, and who we are as a whole of singularities, and on and on and on and on and on. When to discover ourselves as pink lightning bolts, to discover ourselves as a sphere with lightning bolts inside, as a particle, as a human being, as so many things, as a universe, as a soul, as Albert Einstein, as a Rubik's Cube, as anything. To discover ourselves as anything. All right, that's all I'm going to share for this video. That was really fun and exciting, and I loved it a lot. I'm still a little bit connected here, so I'm just kind of disconnecting and coming back into my body. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And if any of you are interested in connecting with me one-on-one for a psychic session, please visit me at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. Hope you all have a wonderful day.